Oh, the Queen of New Zealand has finally decreed that, quarantine rules are going to be dropped. Borders are going to be reopened for vaccinated people because, you can't do one good thing without just, it running contrary of literally any sort of science out there. So, yeah, once again, she's just picking random idea and phrases out of the hat and deciding her policies based on that because God only knows what sort of ideological consistency comes out of this fucking broad. But I guess what, for the 29th time, she's finally defeated the Coof. Congratulations, women do it better than anybody else, am I right, guys? Of course. The New Zealand government announced Thursday it will end its quarantine requirements for incoming travelers and carry out a phased reopening of its borders. Where have we heard this before? But why now? It's just that, I don't know, it seems to be coming out of literally nowhere. The country has been imposing strict border controls for the past 2 years due to the Coof. Most incoming travelers have been required to quarantine for 10 days in a hotel room run by the military. It's not being hyperbolic, even if you're allowed back into the country, which you have to jump through hoops in order to do. The requirement was creating a bottleneck at the border. The latest change, outlined in a 5-goose-step plan, means that the vaccinated New Zealanders returning from Australia... What? Okay. Will no longer need to get into quarantine from February 27. Well, that's good because, if you have the jab, safe and effective, by the way, that means that you're A-OK, 100% ready to go, right? Nothing bad happens to you after you get the jab. Everything's wonderful. Fuck, you wouldn't even need to leave from Australia. Basically, after you get the jab, you can fly and your entire life is just so much better afterwards. Also, vaccinated New Zealanders returning from countries other than Australia can enter by March 13 without quarantine. Fucking funny, huh? The same applies to foreign vaccinated skilled workers as well as travelers on working holiday schemes. Up to 5,000 international students will be allowed to enter the country without quarantining starting April 12th. Yeah, but what if you get one case in the country before then? By then, offshore temporary visa holders with a valid visa can also enter. By July, all tourists from Australia and other visa-free countries who are fully vaccinated will be allowed in without quarantine. But by July, what does the definition of fully vaccinated mean in New Zealand? Whatever Jacinda Ardern wants it to be. But why all of a sudden? Why now? Okay, you've defeated COVID multiple times over the past 2 years. Why now? Why now? What big story coming out of New Zealand would have sparked this? Well, here's something that you'd think would come directly off of the pages of the Babylon Bee. Taliban grants pregnant New Zealand journalist safe haven after Ardern government denies her return visa. They wouldn't let a citizen of New Zealand, the government, the Jacinda Ardern, wouldn't let a citizen, a pregnant woman, one of the most protected classes that's out there, wouldn't let her come home, wouldn't be allowed to come back to a place that she calls home, a place that her passport has right up at the top, right on the front cover. It says New Zealand. She wasn't allowed to come back. And in order to survive, she had to reach out to the fucking Taliban. Oh, and did I mention, it doesn't say so in the headline there, but this pregnant lady, she's unmarried too, so an unwed pregnant lady, unwed pregnant white woman, has to seek refuge from the Taliban, and they were accommodating, but not the New Zealand government. This was earlier in the week, before this miraculous change in policy was announced by New Zealand. Whatever could have sparked that? A pregnant New Zealand journalist said she had to turn to the Taliban for help after her country refused to grant her travel exemption due to its strict COVID-19 border control. In a column published in the New Zealand Herald on last Saturday, Charlotte Bellis, a former journalist with Al Jazeera, said she discovered she was pregnant in Qatar, where sex outside marriage is illegal. Because, you know what, hey, that would totally be different for the Taliban, right? Well, she then contacted the Taliban to ask if she would be welcome in Afghanistan. As an unmarried pregnant woman, as it was the only place she and her partner, Jim Hollybrook, had visas to live. We're happy for you. You can come, and you won't have a problem. Bellis quoted the Taliban officials. Not the New Zealand government, okay? We're happy to have you home, a resident, citizen of our country. This was the fucking Taliban. You know you're doing diplomacy wrong when the Taliban looks better than you. Like, I think, okay, later in this article, we actually have a quote from Hitler from hell where he's like, Jesus Christ, Jacinda Ardern, you need to lighten up a bit. But yeah, the compassionate Taliban, maybe they have in fact turned a new leaf. They also said, don't worry, everything will be fine. When the Taliban offers you, a pregnant, unmarried woman, safe haven, you know your situation is messed up. Truer words, my dude. Bellis said that she had sent 59 documents to New Zealand authorities in Afghanistan, but they deactivated her application for emergency return. Why does she need emergency return? Because she might bring the Coof over. Okay. And being pregnant is not reason enough to request a return home. Okay, so why did she need emergency return home? Why couldn't she stay in whatever country she was at? Well, she had a work visa. Okay, they were her and Jim. I'm not pronouncing that last name because it's the too many consonants, too many harsh consonants. Had a work visa in Belgium. And it finally ran out. They've been out of New Zealand, or she has been out of New Zealand, sorry, before she met Jim. She'd been out for 7 years on visa, and obviously when the country locked down 2 fucking years ago, she would have had 2 fucking years on her visa, not thinking anything of it, and figured that, yeah, you know what, all of this shit should be cleared up by then, and I'd be able to return home, and, you know, or, you know what, if push comes to shove, things would have lightened up a little bit, and when it did, I would have been able to return home, and you know, she probably would have been able to bring her partner, and everything would have been copacetic and fine and wonderful, whatever. And then, okay, well, before reaching out to, the Taliban, wouldn't you think that she would have tried to reach out to Belgian officials? Well, it's one of those things where work visas just kind of end, okay? If you don't have any need to be in Belgium any longer, they're not just going to give you they're just not going to give you a fucking extension on your work visa. It sucks, okay? But that's the fact. They don't owe you anything. Your home country does. But no, you might have the Coof. But yeah, let's carry on. The reasons were the couple's travel dates were more than 14 days out. Oh, yeah. And Bellis failed to prove that she had time-critical schedule medical treatment in New Zealand and that she cannot get the same treatment where she was. Yeah, where their idea of medical treatment is banging rocks together in a cave, which in this case was Afghanistan. It wasn't triggered by the disappointment and uncertainty, but by the breach of trust that in my time of need, the New Zealand government said, you're not welcome here. But I live there. I pay taxes there. No, you don't. Okay. I thought back in August, and how brutally ironic it was, I had asked the Taliban what they do to ensure the rights of women and girls. Oh, we make sure that they have perfect balance by cutting off their left. And now I am asking the same question of my own government. After going public with her situation and preparing a legal response, Bellis said that she had received an unsolicited email from the New Zealand authority which said her rejected application was under review. After putting the New Zealand government on blast for their tyrannical handling of the border situation by not letting in a actual citizen of their country, you just managed to get a review on your request? Huh, weird, huh? New Zealand's COVID czar, Chris Hipkins, has defended New Zealand's strict border control, saying that it has worked, and then had to work again, and continues to work. Sure, Chris. I understand that she wanted to return on a specific date, and the officials reached out to her for more information shortly after looking at her application. The emergency allocation criteria includes a requirement to travel to New Zealand within the next 14 days, but she was going to take 15, and that's clearly unacceptable. Ms. Bellis indicated that she did not intend to travel until the end of next February, and has been encouraged by MIQ to consider moving her plans forward. I'm sure that she probably wasn't so stringent that she wasn't, unwilling to accommodate these ludicrous demands for reasons. Hipkins noted officials have also invited the journalist to apply for another emergency category. Oh, okay, but Bellis said it requires her to apply in a location or a situation where there is a serious risk of safety to her. Where it could be less safe than Qatar, which would probably result in a fucking honor killing of her being buried up to her neck and had stones thrown at her until death. So instead of jumping through hoops, I'll just go chill with the Taliban. Okay. First it was you were denied because it was more than 14 days. Then it was you don't meet the threshold for medical stuff. Now it's something else. Why so many excuses and clauses? You have all the information, she told the RNZ. Fair enough. Meanwhile, head of MIQ, Chris Bunny. That's not a real name. You can't convince me that's a different person. That's just other Chris in a fursuit. Said the MIQ is also under pressure like never before. Why do you think they changed their policy all of a sudden? Oh, don't worry. Vaccinated people can start coming in. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. All applications for emergency allocations of the MIQ voucher are accessed case by case. There's no preferential treatment. No, literally. We just closed the borders. Nobody's allowed in. It is a fair and consistent process, he said. The controversy comes as New Zealand's state-run quarantine system faces heightened criticism as Kiwis struggle to return to their country through the MIQ lottery or on emergency grounds. Good end to this story. I didn't bother bringing it up because it just it's easily searchable. Anyways, yeah, she was eventually granted return back to the country. Yay. And then, yeah, a couple days later, New Zealand announces that, oh, good, guess what? We're changing our border policy. Imagine that. Nothing would have possibly sparked that. We totally came to this decision on our own. Yeah, definitely, sure. No, but it said that, yeah, oh, a medical emergency? Oh, you should have told us that you were pregnant. No, we would have allowed you in for that. She also had a screenshot out there saying that, yeah, no, she wasn't allowed in for a medical emergency or anything like that. So that's what the New Zealand government was trying to run on, but it's just not true. It's just not facts. Jacinda Ardern is still a tyrant, and she's an awful lady, and hopefully, because there's only, one more year left on her tyrannical reign. Because, yeah, when she first got elected in a historic landslide, or re-elected rather, it's a 3-year term in New Zealand, as I was so rudely informed by some asshole back in the cut on that one. But, yeah, second year is almost up on her. Don't make the same mistake again, Kiwis. But yeah, guess what? Personal note, good news. I'm allowed back into my country. No, just kidding. I'm not even allowed to move. No, I got my processor, so I'm finally going to be working on my computer this weekend. Yay! It's like literally, I could show you, but it's just a little brown box right now, and it's just a little gray chip. It's like, cool, it'd mean nothing to anybody. So I'm going to be working on that over the weekend. Thoughts and prayers. Everything goes smoothly. I wish it was literally anything else other than a processor, because there's a lot of fucking software shit that needs to get ironed out. So pray for me that everything goes smoothly. I just wish that it was just a simple hardware gimmick, but it's literally not. So I'm going to be doing that. Hopefully you guys, I'm actually looking forward to that because I love dinking around in computers and, you know, actually building some shit. And I'm gonna put on some video game OSTs, Final Fantasy 6 through 10. Oh, it's just great music anyways. So I'm really looking forward to that. All the tinkering around, putting in my good power supply, doing some cleaning, making everything run top shelf. And then I just can't wait to look down there and see my nice glass case with the blue spinny lights. And we're going to be back to full speed, hopefully. And like I said, touch wood, thoughts and prayers. And hopefully you guys get to do something equally fun over the weekend. We'll be back. Everything's going to be fine. I'll obviously be offline because, you know what, computers and moving and all that stuff. But we'll be back Monday. Hopefully everything works out fine. I'm praying everything works out fine. I'll be back live at 5 on Monday. But with that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.